Hey all, this is DT Neal talking about stories, storytelling, genre, and assorted writerly laments. Again, this is one that'll probably earn me a hand slap, but I don't care. I can speak freely on these things. And I understand it. This is the thing. When I sometimes grouse about some of these things, not fairy tale retellings, I have a real beef with that, but some of these things I will grouse about. I understand how they evolved, but at the same time, I still have beefs. And in this case, it's audiobooks. And again, I know there are people who love them and think this is great. It's a chance for me to hear a story. When you're driving or when you're walking or jogging or on your treadmill or whatever you're doing that doesn't involve actually physically reading. That's all fine. As a story delivery system, audiobooks, okay, it's all well and good. But my beef is always when people think audiobooks are reading. Okay. And this may be controversial for tender-hearted souls, but I'm like, you're not reading, you're listening. You're being told a story. Someone's telling you, it's story time. Someone's telling you a story. And as long as you understand that that's what's going on, that you're being told a story by a narrator, someone with a great voice talking to you, telling you that story, you're not reading. You didn't read the book. You weren't in your own head thinking about things. You were hearing it, right? It's the ears. It's the same difference between like watching a movie and thinking. No one watches a movie and says, "Oh, I read the movie," you know. I read that book. I saw the movie. People draw a mental distinction. This is a kind of weird thing. People draw a mental distinction between, "Oh yeah, I saw the movie. I didn't read the book," or "I read the book and the movie was nothing like it." People do draw that line, but with audiobooks, people are not quite fully comfortable. It's almost like they feel uncomfortable with the idea that they didn't read the book. They didn't bother to read the book. They just listened to the book. But they get kind of pissed if you draw that distinction and say, well, you didn't read it. You didn't read Crime and Punishment. You listened to it as an audiobook. And I'm sure Dostoevsky would be really thrilled with that. Like, oh, you'll not read my book. You'll listen to my book. What is this tape recorder which you speak of? And so for me, I have that beef. It's fine if you are looking for some means of diversion while you're doing something that prevents you from reading, but you're not reading, and you're not in that meditative space that comes from actually reading a book. And then I see studies about, they say how people don't have inner monologues, like a huge percentage of people don't have any kind of inner monologue. And I think, wow, audiobooks are like perfectly made for people who don't have inner monologues, because, they don't have to imagine anything necessarily. They're just listening. They're listening. Now, maybe while they're listening, while they're doing some other activity, they are maybe having a couple thought bubbles pop up. But at the same time, it is not the same. It is inferior to actually reading a book. I'll die on that hill. Reading a book is always, for me, a superior experience to listening to a book. And in fact, I've never listened to an audiobook. I've seen excerpts of, I've had relatives who listen to audiobooks but for me, it's absurd. It's just, it's apples and oranges. It's a different experience. And when you're reading, there's all sorts of things that your brain is having to do while you're reading, which I think are very helpful for people, versus listening, which is far more passive. I mean, you can be chopping up onions while listening to an audiobook, of Sense and Sensibility, right? And just be sitting there chopping onions, and you're kind of like doing that other stuff. You could be doing dishes, you could be doing laundry while that's going on. And maybe on one level there's an efficiency there, because when you're reading a book, you have to be reading the book. That's what you're doing. You're reading the book. You are taking that time and doing it, which is why I think so few people actually bother to read anymore, because they don't want to dedicate that time. They don't want to, you have to use their brains. It's work. Reading books is work. We know that. Writing books is work too. But reading books, it's a lot for people. And so, and this may come off as insulting, but it's like, it's lazy brain syndrome. If you really like an author, you really like a book, read the book. Spend time in your own mind unpacking these things, thinking about these things, meditating on it while you're reading, rather than just having put it in and there it is. There's the audiobook being read to you. I mean, who doesn't like to have stories told to them, right? I mean, it takes you back to probably childhood when you're sitting in there and your parents are reading you a bedtime story. It's like that. Being read to, yeah, people, enjoy that. But don't mistake being read to with reading, because it's not the same.